Thank you. Seated. Maxim 55 by Father Jean-Pierre Médaille. When you work for the neighbor, do it with a very unselfish love, which expects no reward for its service, and aim at nothing other than helping the dear neighbor and being at the same time pleasing to God.
A reading from the book of Leviticus. Sanctify the 50th year, make it a holy year. Proclaim freedom all over the land to everyone who lives in it, a jubilee for you.
Sanctify the 50th year. This is a jubilee for us. 50 years ago, we came together as the U.S. Federation of the Sisters of St. Joseph. Interestingly, we share that anniversary with our Canadian Federation and the Italian Federation. Both of whom are represented with us. Now, interestingly, the French Federation had it where they were ahead of us by about 2 decades. Tonight at the banquet, we will celebrate what has been. As we celebrate and appreciate what has been, we are conscious, very conscious, of our emerging story of being one. God's love unfolding right here with us. And we wonder and we ponder our future. As we remember our past, we know that we've formed relationships across congregations and around the globe. We have deepened our associations with those with whom we have formal affiliation bonds and embraced our mutual responsibility for spreading the charism with our partners in ministry. Now, as you can imagine, we have not done everything perfectly. We have made mistakes. Over 50 years, we have missed some opportunities to act together, and we have hurt people. For that, we are sorry, and we learn from it. But this is a jubilee year. It's a time of letting go of old debts and starting anew. In 2014, Sister Marcia Allen gave a workshop on the maxims. And the most interesting thing that I think I learned at this workshop was that when Jean-Pierre Médaille was writing the 100 Maxims for the Little Institute, whenever he put forward a big challenge, like everyone who follows the charism is called to be perfect. That's a pretty tall thing. But Marcia said, hey, look at all the maxims that are around it. Every time he says, be perfect, he says, in the next maxim, or the one after that, don't be too hard on yourself. Accept your humanness and rely on God's grace. So here we are, 50 years and more than 350 years later, striving to bring unioning love to a fractured, polarized world. So when I looked at Maxim 55, which was the one that was just read to us, I thought, okay, that talks about being unselfish, doing God's will, and responding to the dear neighbor with no expectation of reward. I was like, I wonder what the maxims around it have to say. And they kind of conveyed an interesting message, which I think is very relevant. So not only should we be unselfish, seeking no reward, we really have to be open to the present moment, the grace and the call that is right in front of us. That's what the maxims around 55 say. Rely on your heart to know what the moment calls for. So we just spent some time gathering the graces. And when I think about what has been right in front of us for these several days, I'm reminded that we know that our church, our world, and the United States demographics are changing. And if we want to be relevant, we must change too. The gift that our international connections with the global families of St. Joseph bring to us, that's something that's also right in front of us. And many of you have had the chance to interact with our international sisters. I want to call to mind a Facebook post that we received during this time here. Sister Justine Senapati, who is our Global Family of St. Joseph representative at the United Nations, let us know that there was a killing of innocents in the village just a couple of blocks from the house where she grew up. Those are the kind of things that when we are in touch with our global sisters, we know about and we hear about. Otherwise, we wouldn't know that. We wouldn't be able to take those things in. I learned about the problem or the role that chocolate plays in human trafficking just about the same time I learned that we have Sisters of St. Joseph serving in the Ivory Coast, which is one of the places where trafficking of children to harvest the cocoa is strongest. Seared into my mind is a picture that the sisters from the Ivory Coast sent me of the students in their classroom. And I contrast that with the pictures I have seen of the children harvesting cocoa as slaves in the Ivory Coast. Those relationships, those connections is what it's not easy, but it makes it easier for me to continue to pass up chocolate that I know is not fair trade. I am called to change my behavior because my global view has been changed by our connections. Our association and partnership is so visible in front of us today. And we know that even if we could do stuff by ourselves, we are richer and we go deeper when we find ways to ride the waves together and live in the flow of unioning love. In front of our face is the result of us using our corporate buying power to partner with the Caribe Royale. Yesterday morning, Maria Elena Perales and I went and met with the housekeeping staff here at the Caribe. Now, we thank them for the service that they've done for us while we were here. But our real message was to talk with them. And I said to them, and Maria Elena translated it so they heard it in Spanish, from us together. It was a great thing that the management of the hotel did when they signed the ECPAT Code of Conduct. And their human resource person convinced me that the training they do is real and it's not perfunctory. They train their staff on this. But I said to the housekeeping staff, I said, it's great what your managers did, but all of us that are here know that the only difference that can be made by this commitment is by you, because you are the ones that see what's going on the floors. You're the ones that are in your guts. You know something's not right about that man taking that young boy into the room, or that teenage girl where there's people coming in and out all the time. And you now know that your hotel says to you, you're partners with the Sisters of St. Joseph. If you see something, do something. And the greatest thing Maria Elena and I both saw it for the whole rest of the day. I must have run into at least 20 of those housekeeping staff, and they just kind of beamed because they knew we valued what they can do to end this horrible scourge. We learned today how much we need to use our individual and our corporate buying power. We've known it for a long time, but it was right in front of us today to bring about a more just and peaceful world for the Immokalee workers and all who labor to provide us with food. So as we leave this place, let us sanctify this holy year. Let us proclaim freedom from human slavery by the way we change our behaviors and the stories we tell to our neighbors. Let us proclaim freedom by living in the flow and riding the wave. And let us proclaim freedom through our works with and for the dear neighbor, unselfishly and with humility. Amen.
I would like to invite you to share intercessions, the concerns that you have that you would like to pray for among yourselves at the table for a moment. Let us hold all these intentions and those which we were unable to voice in our heart. At this time, I'd like you to note a small container on your table with oil in it. It's a small jar in a miniature cupcake paper. At this time, we would like to have you turn to the neighbor on your right and to anoint their hands with these words. Go and live unity of neighbor with neighbor and neighbor with God. And then once your hands are anointed, if you would turn to the person on your right and anoint their hands until everyone at the table has been anointed. I would ask you now to open the front cover of your program. Inside the front cover is the prayer written by Mary Catherine Walton for the event, and we'd like to pray that together. Together, we embrace the neighborhoods of our time. We have come for full circle as we take leave of this assembly. Think back over these days in which we've spent in learning, praying, sharing, and acting on behalf of our brothers and sisters. I would like to invite those that are participating in the recessional to come forward as their congregation's name is called. The Sisters of St. Joseph in Peru. Get the candle. The Sisters of St. Joseph in Albany. The Sisters in Hawaii. The Sisters in Los Angeles. In St. Paul. In Baden. In Boston. In Brentwood. In Buffalo. In Carondelet, St. Louis. In Chambéry. In Concordia. The Congregation of Joseph. In Lyon, Winslow. In northwestern Pennsylvania. In Orange. In Philadelphia. in Rochester, in St. Augustine, in Springfield, in Watertown,
I have to leave at 4:15 in the morning. I will.